Hey everyone, welcome to the week 4 coaching call. We have Rich Henderson here with us, also a very special guest, John Gill, with us. You can see him below on the screen here. But before we get into the coaching call and to all the cool announcements we have, and also the interview and Q&A with John, I want to make sure that everyone can actually see and hear us. So if you don't mind, be sure to give us a shout out and actually post a comment below, letting us know if you can see and hear us. And I'm going to hold off for about 30 seconds to make sure that we're getting comments on whether or not you can hear us.
I'm already seeing comments.
Excellent. Awesome. Okay, great. Looks like everyone can hear and see us. So welcome to the call, everyone. We are about halfway through the course. I know it's kind of hard to believe that it's been 4 weeks now since we signed up and started creating your own business, creating your own brand, sourcing your products, talking to suppliers. Hopefully a lot of you are close to having your product either selected or maybe even ordered and on its way to Amazon. If you're not, don't worry about it. Probably the majority of people aren't there yet. And we're going to talk about that later on this call. We'll talk about it with John, exactly where he was at this point in time as well. Now, speaking of John and the call and the questions, be sure if you have any questions on this call to post them below. And just any questions at all, put them in there. We have our awesome mentors in the background. We have Joanne, we have Elaine. Rich, do we have the Swedish chef with us as well today?
I'm not sure. Swedish chef, can you post a comment so we can see whether it's you or that replacement Steve who's useless?
All right, so either way, we have either Steve or his alter ego of the Swedish chef answering questions in the background, as long as Rich and I as well. So if you have questions, post them. We'll be in there actually answering questions throughout the call. So if you see Rich talking and me start typing away, that's because I'm trying to hop out there and answer questions, vice versa with Rich and I. But we'll get to as many questions at all. By the way, keep in mind that when you post a question, everyone cannot see it. Only you can see that question. So if you're kind of wondering if all the people are reading or not, they can't. Only we can in the background. Just letting you know that. And again, we have John Gill coming on. We'll bring him on during the middle of the call, do a quick little interview of his whole story, which is just incredible. I've probably heard it 5 or 6 times. I never get tired of hearing it. It's always inspirational. But before we do all that, I have several announcements to make. So first off, big reminder, this Friday, deadline is midnight to enter the $500 inventory reimbursement opportunity badge contest. Sounds like a lot of words in it, but really it's pretty simple. We want to incentivize you as much as possible to take action and go out there and find your top 3 product opportunities. Doesn't mean you have to have samples, doesn't mean you have to have the products ordered, doesn't mean you have to have it even narrowed down to your final product. Just pick your top 3 opportunities, and by Friday at midnight this week, submit them so you can get your badge, the Opportunity Finder badge. The really cool thing about that is for everyone who's done that by Friday at midnight, we're going to pick out 2 lucky winners, and those 2 winners will be able to win a $500 inventory reimbursement. So depending on the cost of your inventory, you can actually get your inventory for free if you just take action here and enter the contest and are one of the 2 that we pick. The only thing to keep in mind is that in addition to having your opportunity badge submitted for by Friday at midnight, don't worry if we haven't went ahead and approved all the badge, just submit it by midnight. But you need to make sure that you have your inventory into Amazon by April 1st of 2018. That is months and months away. As you can tell, we're giving you plenty of time to get your inventory to Amazon, and even taking into account the holidays and the Chinese New Year that comes up, there's no reason that if you go out there and get your Opportunity Finder badge, you shouldn't have your inventory ordered, shipped, and ready to sell on Amazon by April the 1st of next year. So if you want to read more about this, Rich has made a post in the community giving you all the details. It's pretty much exactly what I told you right now. But absolutely, be sure this week, if you don't have your Opportunity Finder badge by now, go ahead and get it. It's just so critical to keep moving forward in this business. And we want to make sure we're offering everything we possibly can to make sure that happens. Now, also another free thing that we're giving you this Friday, Jason Katzenbach is hosting the Black Friday Boot Camp is what we're calling it. And this is a premium paid webinar, but it's not paid for you as ASM8 members. We are giving you the recordings of this webinar completely for free. So be sure, look out for an email sometime early next week Once the webinar is over and the recordings have been created, we will make them available to you next week. We'll be sending you instructions on how to get them. If for some reason you went out there and got excited and bought the boot camp, contact support, tell them that you're a new ASM8 member, and we'll refund you. We don't want you to pay for this. We want to give this to you for free. And also, if you and be on the lookout for that. The tips are awesome. I've already seen several of them. You're going to love it. And especially once your products are live, you'll be able to use the tips you're learning from this boot camp to grow your brand, your sales, and your business next year as well. Now, just a couple more reminders as well. So also, I don't know if you guys remembered or who was on the call, but sometime during the launch, we kind of got a little crazy, me, Matt, Jason, and Rich, and we decided to sweeten the pot and offer you free live recordings of our very latest ASM live event that was held in July in Las Vegas. It is 3 days of pure content, no sales pitches or anything, just pure content to help you grow your business. And you as ASM8 members will be getting that for free as well. So now we haven't put that out there how to get the access to that yet because we don't want to distract everyone. Like I said, it's 3 days of recordings with all kinds of speakers. And we don't want you to go out there and try to spend 3 days straight watching this when the first thing you need to do is start working on finding your product, sourcing your product, getting it made, getting it shipped to Amazon, and getting some sales. But once that's all taken place, probably near the end of the course, we'll give you full details on how to access that completely for free. And as a bonus to that bonus, you'll get to see Rich and I make fun of each other several times on stage. It's something that we always enjoy doing. And then the final thing I want to remind you is that next week we go back to the normal schedule for our coaching calls. This one's been moved up a day and a couple hours because a lot of people here in the United States will be taking off and traveling for Thanksgiving this week. So next week we go back to the normal schedule. So the week 5 coaching call will be next Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Time as usual. And again, if you can make it for that call, because we'll be announcing the 2 winners for the Opportunity Badge contest. And at that point in time, if you don't already have access to the bootcamp recordings, we'll be making sure we'll give you instructions on how to do that. So lots of awesome, cool, free stuff that we're giving to you just to give you every possible chance to make sure that you are successful in this business. That's all for my announcements. Rich, I'll kind of turn it over to you for a while before we get to John.
Yep, I'm going to keep this as short as possible because I do want to get to John because he's a fountain of knowledge when it comes to Amazon. First of all, if you're still having issues with Seller Central setup, or if you haven't started getting your account set up because you've got questions or you're not sure about anything, private message me. All you need to do is find any post that my name is in, that I posted in, click on my username or my image, and then you'll see a message square button. Just click on that and send me a message. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. Nearly everyone, well, actually everyone I've helped has managed to get through. Even if you receive a message saying you are not allowed to sell on Amazon, don't let that stop you. Private message me. I'll help you with it. Second, I said this again on last week, and I should honestly have been enforcing this every week about the importance of badges. I can see exactly how many badges have been claimed in our admin area. And let's just say there's nowhere near as many that have been posted in the badges category. So if you've earned any badges, go into the category for badges. You'll see it. Just click on the drop down and post about gaining your badges. There's so many benefits to doing this. I've said it over and over again what the benefits are. But the new benefit is I'm reaching into Mike's wallet again. And what we're going to do, probably about week 6, maybe week 7, is we're going to give 2 free mentor calls, 30-minute mentor calls with one of our ASM mentors, just randomly to someone who's submitted a badge. You must post in that thread, in that category, to be able to claim or to be entered into the draw. Just actually having your badge doesn't enter you. You must post in that category. Next, so Mike talked about the Opportunity Finder competition. That's an amazing prize, by the way. And Jason came up with it, and we loved it. We think it's a fabulous prize. And if you're still struggling right now, I've added 3 new lessons. I did post in the community. If you go in there, you'll find it. It's pinned. And it's 3 new videos about speeding the process up and how you can stretch the criteria a bit to make it easier. Then I told you I was going to make this quick. Then we've got the Facebook access. So you're all going to get access to the Facebook group. I'm going to create a short video on how you do that. We're probably going to be doing that next Wednesday or Thursday. I'll post in the community with the video showing you exactly how to get added, because it's a secret and private group. So it's not just a case of you going along there and clicking on it. And there's a few things you need to do to make sure that we can add you. Very straightforward. Lastly, we're getting a ton of comments about me wearing a Packers shirt. Some people saying I've become totally American now that I'm wearing a Packers shirt. Not quite sure how much that's true, but there is a very specific reason I'm wearing this shirt, and I'm going to make a post in the community later today or tomorrow to explain why I'm wearing it. And just let me grab this. Shop Mommy, go Eagles. Here's the thing. I'm actually a Giants fan, so I'm deleting that comment. Okay? And you're probably going to win the Super Bowl, so good luck to you. That's it, Mike. I'll hand it back to you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, buddy. So now what I'd love to do right now is bring in one of our special guests, not just a guest, a great friend, former mentor. The newer members don't realize this, but several years ago, John Gill was one of the original mentors who was in the community all the time, helping out and coaching and doing all kinds of things. His business got so big that he had to step away from that for a while and grow it and actually sell his business and then help his own family out, start their own businesses as well. Just the kind of person that he is. He's sold millions of dollars. He's sold businesses. He's helped his own son grow a fantastic business. He does coaching all around the world. He speaks all over the world. So I want to introduce one of my very best friends also, John Gill. John, welcome to the call, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I clicked the mic button. It was tech savvy. I really am.
You know, that's one of the things we always love to talk about with John and myself, and probably, Rich as well. If we can make it in this business and we don't have the tech skills, if you may not realize that, but it's true. If we can make it in this business, pretty much anyone can. So, hey, John, so let us know, for those who don't really know your backstory, give us a brief synopsis of, when you started, what you're doing beforehand, and how you really got into selling on Amazon.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for this honor. I mean, this is just such an honor and a privilege to be able to share with your community and hopefully, help somebody out or help a lot of people. So I really, really appreciate that. I'm grateful for that opportunity. But and also I wanted to answer your question, because when you were doing your announcements, you said week 4, and you were going to ask me where I was at week 4. And I think I can describe it in 2 words: scared and confused. So anybody who's scared and confused right now, do not worry. It's okay. It's okay. And I'll get more into that later. But man, how long has it been? How long has it been since ASM1? Are we 6 years, 5.5 years?
4. 4, I think.
Only 4?
Only 4. Maybe a little about 4.5, but yeah, a little over 4.
Shit, I need to get a calendar. But no. I mean, at the time that I was introduced to, I knew nothing about Amazon. I could count on one hand how many times I ever shopped on Amazon at that point. I wasn't an Amazon guy. And what had happened is prior to that, I had a very successful telecom business. And what had happened is that technology kind of caught up with me, and I was sleeping at the wheel. And next thing you know, I didn't have a successful telecom business. So I went back to work. I was doing some consulting for a year. And, and again, had to make a lot of lifestyle changes, went from the penthouse to the crap house, and, and that dealing with a lot of fears and unknown, future and stuff like that. And then one day I got an email from a well-known internet marketer, or was well-known, Andy Jenkins. And the odd thing is I wasn't on Andy's list. But it was an email about the launch of ASM1, which is kind of funny looking back and seeing Matt and Jason, and I think they were in France. They were doing the video from France, and they looked like a couple of guys, like deers in the headlight guys. They weren't as polished and as slick as they are now, and or professional. Slick's kind of negative, but no, very professional as they are now. So it's kind of funny. But there was something there that I found very interesting. And the funny thing is that, watching that sequence, the launch sequence, I found it very interesting. it made a lot of sense, but I did not get it for me. I did not purchase this course for me. I purchased this for my wife, because she was, feeling that she wasn't contributing, that she wasn't, she just felt that she wanted to do more. So I thought it would be a good opportunity for her. And English not being her first language, she was a little bit concerned. So I told her that, hey, if you want to jump in on this, I'll support you. I'll watch the videos with you, and I'll answer any of your questions. And long story short, in the middle of module 2, week 2, she was out. Life got in the way, the kid thing and stuff like that. But because I was watching it with her, it made a lot of sense. It made sense. So so I continued on with the course. And again, for me, it was a little bit of a struggle, because I wasn't an internet marketer. I didn't have a tech background, and being part of the Facebook community, which I highly recommend. Facebook community was huge. That's what made it a little bit scary, because there was a lot of people that had a lot of background in internet marketing or tech things, and they were tossing out terminology and softwares and things. I had no idea what they were talking about. So that scared little boy in the back of my mind was saying, oh my God, these guys can do it, but can I? But because of the situation that I was in, I had no option. I had no option, and I believed in this. But for me, just to add to the background is, I was the guy that watched every video 10 to 15 times, because it didn't always click. Plus a serious ADD. I'd be watching a video, then, oh, look, an email popped up. Oh, Skype. Oh, look, squirrel. I was all over the place. I was like, damn, and I'd have to go back. But again, because I wanted what I believed that this could give to me and to my family, it didn't matter. If I had to watch it 100 times, I would have watched it 100 times. And so, that's kind of how it happened. And, getting up to mentioning week 4, at that time, I hadn't had a product picked. I had a product, which once I dug in deeper, and again, I was to the point where I already created the brand. I had the package designed, I purchased a domain. I went that far, but my gut was telling me it wasn't right. It wasn't right. And I dug in deeper, and I realized, based on the size, the weight, and other things, that it wasn't going to be very profitable. So now I was starting over, and I put a lot into that. But I realized, man, this isn't right. And so I found another product, dug in and started the process all over again. And that's why in week 4, I had nothing. But I dug in again, found a great vendor. I got the product, and I remember going to the live event. I still wasn't launched. So for those who, oh, do I have a product on the way? Do not worry. My God, that's, don't sit on your hands. And I'm not saying that. Do not sit on your hands. It's important to always be taking action. A good buddy of all of ours, Todd Herman, who's an incredible success coach. He had a video recently that I thought was amazing. He called it the field of play, where a lot of people are standing on the sidelines, and they have great ideas, or they have an ASM, but they're not getting in the field of play, which means getting in there, taking action, and executing. Even if it's imperfect execution, you can always adapt and pivot while you're executing. But those who stand on the sidelines, those are the ones who are missing out. Those are the ones that this thing's going to pass by. But because, again, I had that strong reason why I was executing imperfectly. I was frustrated that I wasn't further along. I was beating myself up, but it was what it was. And when I got to the live event, which was, I think, several weeks after the last module, a month after the last module, and I was meeting people that had already launched products. They were already, asking the people in the community for reviews. I'm thinking, man, I'm not there. I'm not there, and so it was a little intimidating. I was beating myself up, but I'll share another funny story. So, and I don't want to go into the story about not signing up for the live event. Remember that story?
Heck yeah. Get into it.
All right. So I screwed up. I was sitting on my hands. They were announcing the live event, announcing it, and I missed the cutoff date. And then as it approached, I said, man, I got to be there. Something's telling me I got to be there. So I was writing to customer service and I wasn't getting a response. And now it was time for the event. So I booked the hotel. I went anyway, and I figured I was going to go in there and beg. So when I got in there, I went to the registration desk, and I was a little bit late, so everybody was already inside. So there wasn't a lot of people at the reception desk. And I ran into this guy, Neil. And I told my story. I said, I screwed up. It's all on me. I need to be here. I don't care if I have to sit on the soda machine. I don't care what it'll cost me. Please, I want to be here. And I said, and by the way, I really need to tell you, your customer service sucks. You know, I was emailing you guys and nobody replied. And he said, well, that's good to know because I'm head of customer service. So I was like, oh, God. So then he took me over and he introduced to, he said, we need to go talk to this young lady over here. And it happened to be Charlene Katzenbach, who's now a very, very dear friend of mine. And she was gracious enough to let me in.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you're there. I remember meeting you there too. And what a story of perseverance. I love hearing that story about just driving down there and talking about head of customer service and telling him that their customer service at the time really stunk.
Yeah, it's come a long way. That's for darn sure. But
hey, John, I got to ask you too. I don't want to get off topic. So you're in Florida, and what's the weather outside right now about?
It's probably 80, 82.
Okay, awesome. Because a lot of people are worried about your cat in the background wanting to get in. And I just want to make sure they all realize that he's in a very beautiful location with great weather. So the cat is not out in the cold or anything like that.
It's funny that they're hearing that because I'm trying to block it out. The cat scratching at the door, and I'm not letting her in because she'll be on my keyboard in a second blocking a video. So she's fine.
So you went to the live event at 4 weeks. So you, like many people, aren't live yet. You know, I think it's important that you and I talk about this all the time. A lot of other people talk about it all the time. When you hear people that are already live after like 4, 5, 6 weeks, that's awesome. Those people are, like just totally blowing the whole course out of the water by moving that quickly. When you hear those people, that's not the norm. The norm is people like John and myself and Elaine, Rich, Steve, Joanne, all the other people on this call in the background as well. Hardly anyone has their product live at this point in time. So if you're not there, like John said, do not beat yourself up. Because it's so hard and so few people actually have it ready to go at that point in time.
Well, you know what, Mike, and on that point, I think, if I was talking to the people listening right now individually and somebody said, my product's on the way, and then I spoke to somebody else who said, this is what I'm doing, this is the action, this is, I'm executing, I'm moving forward, I would be just as impressed with that person than the person, and that's what I was alluding to. Funny story is, I want to say it was about 1.5 years ago, I was invited to speak at a big event. Oh, all right, so let's go back. So here I am after Charlene says, you can go in. Here's the registration paper. I'm filling it out. And there was a woman next to me. And so we started talking. And this is one of the things that made me feel, 2 inches tall, is she asked me, have you launched your product yet? And I said, no, not yet. How about you? Yes, I've launched it. I already have sales. I'm like, oh, God, I felt, like I said, 2 inches tall, very incompetent at that point. So now let's fast forward. Like I said, about 1.5 years ago, I'm speaking at this big event, and I was out at one of the coffee tables during break, getting a cup of coffee, and this woman comes up to me and she says hello, and she says, I don't know if you remember me, but I was the one who met you at ASM1 at the reception desk. I was the one who just, had launched my products. Like, yeah, I remember you. How are you doing? And she said, well, you know what? I've taken all these courses. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and I'm finally ready to get started. This is 3 years later. So, and then here, if I look back, and there I was, the scared little boy saying, man, am I doing this right? Am I far enough along? Look at this woman. And then, 3 years later, somebody who was one of those people who just was waiting for all the lights to turn green before she went. And I bet if I was to run into her now and talk to her again, she doesn't have a business. So don't beat yourself up. Do not beat yourself up. You are where you are. Beat yourself up if you're sitting around doing nothing. If you're not taking action, if you're not, and that's I remember when you guys, in ASM won the badges, I'm thinking, man, I'm an entrepreneur, man, keep your stinking badges. But then I started to understand the importance of it, because it's, what you're doing is you're stacking victories. I don't care how small they are. When you're taking action and you're executing, and you're getting that badge, you're stacking victories. And those are the things that build the confidence. Those are the things that keep you going. Because the people that lose in this game are the people who do not execute and the people who quit. This business has been amazing. I mean, we don't have the time. It would take hours for me to describe what this business has done for my life, has done for my family's life, the opportunities that it's has given me, outside of Amazon as well, the financial benefits, the security benefits, the people I've met, the friends like you and Rich. I mean, some of my closest friends are people that I met in this business. If for some reason it just attracts an amazing group of people, which is when the live event comes, I highly recommend being there. It's critical to be there and be around these people.
So John, 4 weeks, let's fast forward then. So
Okay.
You hadn't launched your product yet, got to the live event, and then, but very quickly, or at least how soon was it then when you finally had your product up and selling after that?
God, it was probably 6 weeks, I'm saying, after the live event.
And then how did things go from there?
Well, I was very fortunate. My first product was a huge success.
And then, so you say a huge success. Within 6 months, how much were you doing in sales? Do you remember? I know it's going back 4 years. But...
You know what? I don't remember, and I hate to talk numbers. I really do. But I can tell you this: in that one product, and I can share it because I sold the brand. Usually, you don't talk about your products, but it was a bike light, and I don't recommend that, even though I'm not in that niche anymore because it's so saturated. But that one product in my first year netted me $650,000 on a stinking bike light. Who would have thought?
So, let's talk about that product. You're not selling anymore. Like you said, you sold that whole brand, right?
Yep.
So what did you do? So in order to get that product up and selling so well, what'd you focus on? Was there anything fancy you were doing, or are there certain things that you just kind of focused on to get it going?
No, when I always talk about this, because I didn't have those, that expertise or knowledge or experience that, say, an internet marketer or somebody who's, played in the online game. What I was forced to do was just to follow the system. So I just kind of blindly just took the steps that I was taught in the ASM course, and again, just continued every day to do something to move my business forward, and I put in, I look back now and all the nights up till midnight in front of the computer, and it wasn't a chore at the time. And I look back now, it was, one of the greatest times of my life. And so it didn't matter because I knew I was doing it for me and for my family.
And speaking of family, like I kind of know the story, but have you gotten any other family members involved in this business?
Yeah. Actually, my son, who's now 29 years old, and he has become a hell of a lot smarter than me. And he's kicking butt. He's making a killing. He's just moving into a new house next week. He bought his first new car, which was a top of the line BMW SUV, the Sport, the M, I guess it was. So, so incredibly proud of him. But more than that, because I've always been proud of him, more than that is that I now know that my son is free. Even if Amazon someday said, you know what, we're just going to sell our own products, all you guys take a hike. The knowledge, the contacts, the experience that my son has built will take him to the next level and beyond, no matter what he does. And what I have seen, and it's happened for him as well, is that you get in here and you become, let's call it an expert, and you have some level of success, the doors that will open up for you will blow your mind.
Yeah.
Would you think, and again, I've shared with you some of the things that I'm doing right now that, or if we would have talked about that and where you're at, if we would have talked about that 3 years ago, we would have laughed at each other.
It's so true. It's hard to think of, hard to comprehend, probably most people watching this call right now, it's hard to comprehend 2-3 years down the road, all the opportunities that will be available to you. But John and I and so many of the people are living proof of this. This Amazon business that can make you millions of dollars a year, even as amazing as that is, it can be a stepping stone if you want it to be, even be greater things, and not just financially, but just helping change people's lives in so many ways. That's probably a whole nother topic for a whole nother meeting. But trust us, when John and I talk about that, it's amazing the things that I've seen him personally be able to do because of how hard he worked on growing his Amazon business and where it took him from there. So congrats, John. That really is amazing. So proud of you and so happy for you. I want to ask us, you kind of touched on it before. So the people here are halfway through the course, but realistically, most of them probably don't have their product finalized or ordered yet. What advice would you specifically, like you said earlier, if you're speaking to them, what advice would you give them going forward right now on what to do?
Well, some of the things that I've seen where people have faulted would be paralysis by analysis. And so that they are not. So what I would say is understand the concepts and the things that are taught in finding a product. Because if I was to say what would be the most important aspect of this business, product selection, I would put at the top. And here's why. There's a lot of things that are important. Your listing is critical. You want to, you want it to be able to convert. You want to have the social proof of reviews. You want to have the right keywords in the title, the bullet points in the back end. All those things are critical. The launch is important because depending on, how you're doing it, you want to create the velocity, you want to help with the ranking, things like that. Again, I don't want to get into that because that'll take a lot of time. Although some of those things can be outsourced. I outsource those things now. Okay. But if you have a crappy product, and that could mean, there's the cat again, that could mean that it's horrible quality. That's number one. Stay away from junk. With junk, you're always going to lose. And when I say junk, horrible quality. The negative reviews, because people are laying down real money, their money for your product. And so you want to be able to deliver the best product possible. But if you're delivering junk, maybe because of cost or whatever, it's going to catch up to you. You cannot sustain a business on junk because the reviews will catch up to you, and a lot of bad reviews equate to no sales or low sales. So I would focus hard on mastering product selection, but I wouldn't be paralyzed by worrying about, is this the right product? Because that can drive you nuts. So take the knowledge that you're being taught, make your best effort to pick that product, sourced and ordered. I've known people that are incredibly successful in this business where their first couple of products were complete duds, but they didn't give up. They didn't give up. I mean, if you think every product that you're going to list is going to be a success, you're delusional. It's just, but, and everybody's looking for that home run. For those of you who understand baseball analogies, you can get rich with a couple doubles and singles in this business. You don't need to have a home run. If you do, God bless you. And those will happen. And the funny thing is that I've had products, when I ordered those products, said, this one's a home run. And the other one was, this one will be a good filler to build out the brand. And what wound up happening is the one I thought was a home run didn't do as well. And the one that I just thought would be a great filler for the brand turned out to be a home run. So sometimes you don't know. So getting back to your question, take the knowledge that you're being taught and really take serious the product selection process. Find a good product, make sure you get samples, make sure your quality is good, make sure you're comfortable with your vendor, because that's important. Because my vendor turned out to be one of my best friends, an important part of my business, and somebody that I communicated a lot with and or visited many times in China. So it's important that you have that you're comfortable with your vendor, because it's somebody you're going to be working close with. and then get that product sourced, get it over and start your business.
Awesome. It's funny, John, like we didn't talk about this before, but we talk about the success principles. We share them in the course, we share them in emails, and pretty much everything you talk about are one of the few success principles. Never give in on product quality. Like you said, don't sell junk. Always keep moving forward, never give up, and never stop. That's 3 of our success principles, and you exemplify them perfectly, and I've shared that with folks. So awesome. Thank you so much.
What it was for me is that I had no choice. There was, I burned the ship. Well, I didn't burn the ships at the shore. They were burned for me. So I had no choice, and it kept me moving forward. And like I said, the people who lose in this business are the people who give up. Because there is, for those of you who are listening, look around. There's enough social proof, which we did not have. As ASM1ers, we didn't have the social proof of all these, and it sounds crazy, and it sounds very salesy, and it's not. But I mean, how many millionaires? I don't know what the number is. How many millionaires have been created through this? Do you have any idea?
Hundreds at least.
I mean, I personally know 60 millionaires that are friends of mine that were not when they started this business. Some of them very, very young. So the social proof is there. This is just not my opinion or your opinion. The proof is there. So the question probably in your mind, will it work for me? It will if you work it. It will if you work it, because, and I think it'd be fair to say that those who know us would not categorize us as rocket scientists. So, but what we did is we dug in and we didn't give up, and we kept moving forward. And and it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to fall down. But get up, brush yourself off, and keep moving forward. Keep moving forward, because this will work. If you work it and don't give up, this will absolutely work. At what level, that's up to you, because everybody's in a different level, depending on, how much money they had to invest, whatever. And again, that's a question people ask me all the time. I invested $2,500. That was it. I invested $2,500. And I could have got away with less, but I invested $2,500 to start this business, to build a huge, very profitable and business.
Wow. Yeah. When did you sell your business, by the way? Was that within the past
last year? Last year? Not quite a year ago. Okay.
Awesome. That one of the things we talked about, you mentioned home runs earlier, and maybe, 4.5 years ago, things were different where we could get lucky and like launch a product and it turned into a home run. We've recognized that what you just said is the way to really build a sustainable, thriving business. And that is to hit a lot of singles and doubles. I think I love your baseball analogy. Wasn't it Tony Gwynn, one of the all-time greatest hitters in baseball? And he was not a home run hitter. Yeah. He would get singles and doubles every time and made the all-star team so many times, so many RBIs. Yeah. What a great analogy. And the criteria that Rich Henderson goes over with, that's what it's designed for. It's designed to keep you away from the products that have the competition that, if you look at the bike lights right now that, John sold probably, 3-4 years ago, way too competitive. So we know that, we recognize that, and we're going to give you something, the way to find a product that's going to go out there and do $10,000, $20,000 a month. And then that way you stack those on top of each other sooner, very quickly, within a year, you could have yourself $1 million business. John, I just want to thank you. I mean, that's awesome. Your advice, your story is inspiring. Like I said, I love hearing it every time. For anyone who has never had a chance to see John speak live, and John's not a professional. I mean, you're not a professional live speaker. That's not where you're growing up, right?
No, God, no.
He gave one of the most inspiring presentations I've ever seen, talking about your why. Rich Henderson talked about it a few weeks ago. A lot of that was precipitated by John's presentation a year ago, talking about how you need to find your why. And John, so you kind of touched on, what was your why for this business?
God, my why was because I was so down from what I thought was a failure of my telecom business. Again, taking my hand off the wheel, not preparing, not watching the trends. I felt that I let my family down. That was the big thing, that I let my family down. and that I was not able to give them the lifestyle that they were accustomed to. I really felt that I let them down. And a huge part of that too was to prove to my family, you know, especially my children, that it's okay to get knocked down. You know, the winners are those who get up and move forward. Those are the ones who, you know, are dented and not destroyed by a quote unquote failure. Because if there's one lesson that I want to teach to my children, it's that. Because I know in life, you know, life is going to throw you curveballs. Life is going to kick you in the keister. That's a guarantee. As long as you're breathing, challenges will come your way. So the question is not, am I going to get challenges? You are going to get challenges. The question is, what are you going to do when it happens? How are you going to handle it? Are you going to crawl into a corner and suck your thumb? And it's okay to do that momentarily. And believe me, I had spent some time in that corner. Or are you going to get up, brush yourself off, wipe the tears, and move forward and move forward? And that's why, again, it's that reason why is so critical. And the analogy that I always use, and, you know, when I was coaching students, I would always tell them, you know, before we start, I need to know your reason why. It needs to be, and it's important for you to have a clearly defined written reason why. Why are you doing this business? Or why are you striving for what you think this business will give you? Why? Because when those curveballs hit in this business, because you're going to get those curveballs. When those curveballs happen, if you have a strong enough reason why, you're just going to, okay, all right, next, don't worry. They're just going to be pinging off you. They're not going to knock you down. You know, and the analogy I use, if Mike, if you and I were talking and, you know, we were together and I said, you know, see that building across the street? It's on fire. And I left my wallet in there. Can you go in there and get it for me? You know, obviously you would laugh at me and say, you know, come on, here's $20. You know, forget your wallet. But then if I said to you, Mike, the person you love the most is in there. And if you don't get in there right now, they're going to die. You're not going to think twice. You're going to go in there. What's the difference? Your reason why. So if you're doing this for craps and giggles, you know, those curveballs are going to knock you down. And they may keep you down. But if you have a strong, compelling reason why, you're not even, you know, those curveballs won't even dent you. You know, there will be a momentary sting and you'll just keep moving forward.
That's beautiful, man. Like I said, I love hearing that every time. You speak so much from the heart. You're getting tons of shout outs, by the way, from Tade JB. They know that you went from cop to the top, which is awesome. We don't really talk about on this call. John used to be a police officer, as a matter of fact. Karen MC Walker says, John, proud to see the brother in blue doing so well and succeeding and being happy. From former LEO in Bradenton, Florida, and Manatee County Sheriff's Office.
Well, that was Karen?
Yeah, Karen. Yeah.
Karen, God bless you and what you do. I think it's so unfortunate the way cops are looked at these days and the way they're treated. If anybody knew what you know you go through on a day-to-day basis and for the little crap pay that you get, these people are truly doing it out of a passion and out of a caring for their community. And the way they're characterized is so unfair. I mean, are there bad apples out there? Absolutely. But for those of you that military or police, God bless you and thank you for what you do.
Awesome. Yeah, and so we have a few questions, John, actually a lot of questions. We're going to take them from the community if you don't mind. So I'll just start answering them off here. John, what do you feel was your biggest mistake that also taught you the most?
At times getting struck by the paralysis by analysis. Second guessing myself, you know, because if I look back, knowing what I know now, you know, and here's the interesting thing too that I wanted to bring up, where the people that are listening to this call or that are part of this group have such a huge advantage as compared to us, is that a big part of the training was developed and changed and adapt based on the success and strategies and stuff that those before you, people like myself, Mike, Rich, you know, Chris Wilson, all those guys, Kerry, and all those super successes, the strategies and tactics that they shared has gone into the updated training, where we didn't have that. We didn't have those success stories or those people that were out there in the trenches and trying things and failing and trying things and succeeding. So you have that huge advantage. So with that being said, I think, you know, again, just you can really slow yourself drastically by just constantly. And is this the right thing? Am I doing? Is this the right product? Is this the right? There is. I couldn't if I was able to do a coaching call with everybody on this call, and you were able to present your products. I could give you my best opinion of what I think about the product, but there's no guarantee. If I say that's a winner, there is no guarantee, right? So take the action, execute. And that would be the biggest lesson I learned. At times, I didn't execute fast enough, or go all in.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. We all do it.
Part of the game.
John, how long after you went live and launched your product did you start actually seeing profit and put it in the bank?
See, that's a question that I hate to answer because I don't want to set expectations for people.
Yeah.
Because if they're not there, oh, look, I should be doing what John did. And I don't remember, but it was early on. And again, I was very fortunate. My product took off early on. And another funny story, the China trip.
Yeah.
So, all right, quick funny story. And I shared this story because it's a great lesson. It was an incredible lesson for me. Great lesson. So I went with Matt and Jason and a group of people to China. And it was, I think, just 2 months after the first live event. And I had inventory on its way in. I already had my product out. It was doing well. Had inventory on its way in. And I was panicking because it looked like I was going to run out of inventory before my inventory got in. So because I was hanging out with Matt and Jason, I went to Jason and said, what do I do? And at the time, I think I was selling my bike light for 26 bucks. I think I was paying around $3 or $4, selling it for 26. So I had a nice profit. And Jason said, increase the price so you can slow down the sales a little bit and give it time for your inventory to kind of catch up. So I said, how much? He said, $5. So I raised it $5. And of course, we had 12-hour difference over there. I raised it. Then, we finished our day, went to bed. I woke up the next morning to meet everybody for breakfast, went to my computer, and sales increased. So many will laugh. I panicked. Sales increased and I panicked. So I panicked and I ran down to the restaurant, the lobby restaurant where I was at, and I'm looking for Jason. And I said, Jason, oh my God, this is what happened. And so as the good friend that Jason is, he looked at me and he laughed. So he said, raise it again. So I raised it another $4. And the interesting thing is sales didn't increase, but they were stable. They did not move. They didn't go down. And fortunately, the inventory arrived. So the lesson learned is by that experience, I was able to charge $9 more than I thought that I could get for my light. So it's important. The reason I bring that up is, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, is, testing your pricing as well. It's price testing. But that was a great lesson. Yeah, and a very profitable one too.
That's, and that's not saying like everything that John says, everything that I say, these things aren't, we don't want you to go out there and say, okay, I'm raising my price $10. That's not the point of the lesson here. The lesson is test your price. You never really know. And don't be afraid to test your price and make mistakes. John was giving up money at that point in time. And luckily he was with some awesome people he met through ASM, got some good advice, tested it out, and it turned out to make him more money and increase sales. It's funny how things like that happen.
Yeah.
And as far as the profit question goes, we do cover this in the welcome module of the course. There is no right answer, everyone, about when is the right time to start taking money out. It all depends on what you want to do. If you're looking just to build a $10,000 a month business and have a couple extra $1,000 in your pocket every month, take it out when you start making that amount of money. But if you want to grow your business, and I think John would back me on this one, if you want to grow your business into a multi-million-dollar business, almost everyone that I know of who's been able to do that has made the decision to put as much as they can of the profits back into the business to continue growing it. Is that a fair statement, John?
Well, it's what I did.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that when I started to see the results, I got so excited that I wanted to. Yeah. I went back to eating peanut butter and jelly because I wanted to put the money back into the business, and it paid off.
Absolutely.
And needless to say, I don't eat peanut butter and jelly anymore. Although I do like it.
Here's a good one, John. Are you coming to the live event in Orlando next year?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Good.
Just to see you and Rich.
Yeah, of course.
And Jason. And then to meet some of the people that on this call. And you know what? And on that note, I highly recommend it. It was the smartest move that I made early on in this business. And I always talk about the importance of networking. And I didn't understand that, and I didn't take advantage of it because I don't know if you're still doing this, but there are some networking opportunities. You know, I remember at the ASM8 event, they broke everybody up by region. And so those in the Southeast, you know, go to this corner and, you know, and go and shake hands with 5 people, introduce yourself and stuff. That was the opportunity for me to go to the bathroom. You know, I did not want to. That was too uncomfortable. I didn't want to do it. You know, but I did connect with some people at some of the cocktail receptions, and again, built amazing relationships. And not only that, from those relationships, I can honestly say that equated to millions of dollars.
Yep.
And I look at, for example, you know, going to that China event and some of the relationships that I made that are still great friends of mine to this day, Chris and Carrie and Rainer. God, I don't want to leave anybody out, but so I'll leave it there. These were people that were very, very successful in the business, and they were gracious enough to, you know, to point me in the right direction at times. And because I had built that relationship, there's somebody I could pick up the phone and say, hey, here's something I'm up against right now. What do you advise? And that was a huge benefit, You know, getting back to Todd Herman again, I remember Todd Herman telling me, give me 2 businessmen, one with a truckload of money and another guy with an amazing Rolodex. And I'll bet on the guy with the Rolodex every day and twice on Sunday. So that's how important contacts and networking is. It's critical. It's critical to this business. It's important to the quality of your life because you surround yourself with good people. It's going to improve the quality of life, and it's going to open other doors as well.
Absolutely.
And that's speaking from experience.
Here we go. John, when did you launch your second product? And did you make any changes on your second product compared to your competitors' products?
My second product probably came a month later. Mm-hmm. And again, see, at the time in the niche that I was in, and I think, Mike, because you and I were in a similar niche, mm-hmm. Is that the competition, one of the things that drew me to those particular products was I thought the competition was weak. And with the limited knowledge I thought I had, I knew I could crush them. So as far as making the product better, no, I made my listing better. I made my message better. You know, I positioned it better, which you can do with your images and your listing. You know, but again, I made sure I had a quality product. And I think my second product was a headlamp.
Awesome.
Because that's another thing, and that's a good point too, is that some people, let me reinvent, let me redesign, that's time and money. No, move. You know, get the best product that you can from, you know, get those samples, test your samples, make sure it's quality, you know, and work on the branding. Like with the headlamp, I branded the band. It had my logo. But those were easy things. Those were things that were not going to slow down the process and get me my product a month later. So don't try to reinvent the wheel.
60 days time. Let's say it takes 60 days to customize something. That's 60 days of money in your pocket that you could be growing your sales, growing your velocity, and working on a third product or a fourth product. Couldn't agree with you more.
And the other thing too, a niche can change in 60 days.
Yeah. Yeah, it can. It can. Let's see. Hold on. We've got several over here. How many years did you have your business before you sold your business?
4 years.
4 years. Okay. Would you still source in China as everyone else does, or would you try to be different than others and source in other countries?
China seems to be the best bet right now. Now, again, the niches that I'm in now, I don't source from China anymore because I don't have to, and I wouldn't and shouldn't.
Yeah, I think what you're saying basically is source wherever the best products are, right?
Yeah. Best products, best pricing.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's one. John, I'm still watching all the videos to make sure I get it 100% before I take action to choose my products and contact suppliers. My question to you is, how do you choose what category to go for? There are so many to choose from.
God, that question. That's a tough one. And again, don't, when I hear that, I'm waiting till 100%. What's 100%? There's, when you understand it conceptually and you have a good grasp of that, go and select your product. And again, that sounds like, if I was talking to you one-on-one, that's paralysis by analysis. Don't let that get in your way. You have the training, right? Make your best educated decision. And again, there's opportunity in all niches, but you want to look at, your competition. One of the things that I look at is, because reviews, the number of reviews are critical. It's one of the number one factors in a consumer's decision to buy a product is the quality of the reviews and the number of reviews. So I stay away from niches or a particular product where my competitors, there's like 3 or 4 of them that have a ton of reviews. I stay away from products where most of the products on page 1 are brand driven. I remember a student coming to me and he wanted to sell electric razors. I knew the answer, but I wanted to, all right, let's look at this. Let's go on. Let's do a screen share here. Gillette, Remington, Panasonic, Braun. And here's the analogy that I use. If you were here in my office and I was pointing at the door and I said, behind that door is a pot of gold and it's yours for the taking. There's 2 guys standing in front of that door. You only have to get through one of them to get to that pot of gold. And it's a guarantee that you'll get that pot of gold. But you get to pick which guy. One of them is a 250-pound solid muscle linebacker in the NFL. The other guy's 5'5", 90 pounds soaking wet. You pick which guy you want to go through to get that pot of gold. Do you want to take the hard way or do you want to take an easier way? So look at your competition, and that's based on reviews and stuff. And also another important factor is because we're in this business to make money. I always look strongly at profit potential, because what happens in some niches is that what I call a Amazon product life cycle. So I look at the product, my original bike light. I was selling 100, 120 a day of that product and was selling it at almost 36 bucks. And now bike lights, similar bike lights in that particular one, is probably selling 20 units a day at 18 bucks. Because you get all the competition, you get some of the Chinese, and the prices start to lower. So you want to look at the maturity of a niche as well. So that's very important as well. So once stage 1 is identifying the product, right? Stage 2 is now finding sourcing agents or finding manufacturers, vendors, getting the pricing and getting samples, because you may find a product and say, my God, this is it. I love this product. It's selling for 20 bucks on Amazon and fantastic. Now let me, find some vendors and it's going to cost me 15 bucks. Well, that great opportunity just went into the crapper pile. It's not a good opportunity. There's no profit to be made, but you got to go through those steps.
Yep. Awesome advice. And like what John just went over, every single thing he talked about, you'll recognize from our product criteria that Rich goes through. Avoid the ones where there's lots of products with high reviews. Avoid the ones where it's hard to find a good supplier. You can't find quality products. Everything else John said on there also. And with the brands, like, we're not saying don't be afraid to go against a product from a big brand. What John's saying is, if a category is brand driven, like for example, Pampers diapers, I'll give another one. Pampers and Huggies own the first page of diapers. So that's probably something that's brand driven. People know to look for the brand, not the product. So again, great advice from John when looking for your products.
Because if there's like one brand that's crushing it, it's okay to compete against them, because you can get rich being number 2 or 3. That's I'll do that all day long.
John, here's someone. Let's see. John is a rock star. I want to bum rush him on stage to shake his hand.
I'll take a hug. I'm a hugger.
John, on your first product, how much did you focus on custom packaging and labeling?
Great question. I saw that one pop up. I focused a lot on that. I focused a lot. And it's one of the things that set you apart from the competition. Now, here's the interesting thing. I was taught that in China. And I think it was Paul Sinclair. And I remember thinking, what does packaging have to do with it? Because they don't see the packaging until after they bought it. But what I learned, so there's a couple things. What I started doing is I started putting my packaging in my listing. So as one of my images, so they could see the quality. The other thing that I was told, and it worked, because initially my product did not have that killer packaging. It was in a blister pack. And it was after the China event where I said, okay, my next order, I'm going to really focus. So I didn't focus on the packaging right away because it was not something I was aware of. But what I found, what I was told, and I found to be true, is it cut down on returns. You know, because I was charging a premium price, I wanted to present it as a premium product. You know, and I think that's important. And when I talked about position yourself as a premium option. And I'll give you, so let's go back to the example of the bike light. I was number 2. I wasn't number 1. I was selling it at $36. And like I said, it was probably averaging like 115, 120 units a day. The number 1 guy was selling a bike light set for $7 and change, and was probably selling about 400 units a day. And I knew the product because, again, I had Chinese vendors throwing that product at me all the time. And based on, I knew the cost, this guy was probably making about $1.50, $2 if he was lucky on that product. So let's just say he was profiting $800 a day in sales. I was profiting thousands a day. He could be number 1. Knock yourself out, pal. But I was not going for the Walmart shopper. I was going for somebody who wanted quality. So my numbers weren't as big as this other guy, but my profit was much higher than him. So packaging is important as it relates to that. And it will, you know, if people are receiving, Apple's a great analogy. I mean, or example, if you buy an Apple product, I mean, you cannot beat the packaging. So when I'm opening up that, I mean, already in my mind, I'm saying this has got to be a quality product. Look at the packaging. Look at the packaging. So packaging is important.
Awesome. Great answer. So John, how many categories for your first product range, how many categories were you in? Were you in a lot of different categories, a diverse range, or just one?
I was just in one. But I have no problem knowing what I know now being in multiple categories. But here's the thing too, if you find the right product and you mastered the skills that are being taught and you learn how to rank and get reviews, once it's not a bad strategy. So here's a bonus. It's not a bad strategy. One of the things that I teach is you get the product, you test it, you get it out there. If it does well, why not have 2 or 3 or 4 variations? You know, there was a time where I had, back when I had my business, where I had 5 bike lights on page 1. I had 4 headlamps on page 1. I had several camping lanterns on page 1. So what you want to do is you want to occupy real estate. So if you have a good vendor, you know that niche, you know that product, it's easy to expand that. Where if in that analogy, I knew the bike light niche and products like the back of my hand. Well, now I want to go into vitamin C. Oh man, now that's a completely different niche, completely different game, a different understanding, another learning curve, where this one was faster. I knew what I could do with that particular product. Why not own more of page 1? 70% of sales come from page 1. And that came from Amazon, Amazon's marketing department. They told me that 70% of sales come from page 1. So why not own as much of page 1 as you can?
Awesome advice. That's great advice. I'm going to keep going. There's so many shout outs for you here too, John. This is awesome.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love this one. I'm hearing this one myself too. So we already heard you focused on quality products. We already heard you focused on building a great listing. How much did you focus on the marketing side of your products?
Well, once you have your product down, and you have your listing down and you're launched, it's all about marketing your product at that point. So that's where your focus goes. Once you have your product live, is on the marketing side.
Gotcha. And what exactly? So, what type of marketing did you think you did with your first products?
Well, Amazon sponsored ads is very important. We did some stuff with Facebook, and now outside traffic, and this is some of the stuff that you teach, Mike, is outside traffic has become more critical in this business.
Absolutely. No, that's great. All righty. So we're going to keep going over more things here, John. I'm scrolling through these. I'll tell you what, we got time for two more. We're going to have to let John go here because we also have a few module specific questions we want to get to. So let's pick out a couple more things here. John, what are the ways that you differentiated yourself from your competition?
Quality. Not only quality in the product, it was quality in the way I positioned the product, which I did through the listing, through the images, and through the copy. Is again, like I said, my competition, who as far as units per day was crushing me, he was the Walmart shopper. He was positioning his product for the Walmart shopper. Me, I was positioning my product for somebody who wanted quality. So I positioned it as quality. And I did that again through my listing, through my images, through my copy, and through my packaging.
Awesome. Then the last question, you know what? I'm going to ask this one question for you then. So let's see. I know we got a dozen of here, but I've seen a couple similar questions here from people, and I kind of want to put it all together and answer it from everyone's perspective. So what do you think were the most important factors for you being so successful, John? That's kind of me taking 3 or 4 questions and put them together.
That's easy. Not giving up. Facing my fears, the fear, the doubt, the insecurity, as I was going through this. And like I said, following the Facebook group and saying, oh my God, I don't know what these guys are talking about. I don't have that knowledge. I don't have that experience. I don't have that expertise. Can I do this? And just fighting through that because of the reason why, fighting through that and continuing to stay on the path and continuing to execute and do something every day towards my business. That would be my answer.
That's awesome, brother. Thank you so much. John, from Rich, myself, the mentors helping us, all the members, just want to thank you so much for always coming on, sharing from the heart. I don't know of anyone, not just in this business and in any part of my life, that speaks from the heart as much as you do. So thank you so much for everything you do. And I really look forward to seeing you in Orlando next spring.
Like I said, I find it funny for you guys to thank me because I need to thank you guys for giving me this. I love doing this. And I think the main reason that I really love doing this is because I know what a lot of people are feeling right now. The people that are on this call, I know what they're feeling. And I know it because I was there. And again, because of my circumstances, I had no choice. I had to fight through that and move forward. And my life has changed drastically. My children's life has changed drastically. My son is free, because of this opportunity. And so, if anything that I want to leave it on that note is don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. It's okay to doubt yourself. We all do at times, but fight through that. You have an amazing system that's worked for thousands of people. The social proof is there. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up. Just continue to go in there and dig in. And again, if you don't get it, reach out to the mentors. If you don't get it, watch the video again. But continue to take action. Don't let it paralyze you because you think you need to know it all. Know it conceptually. Take action. Continue to do that. And if you do that, it's not if you're going to succeed. It's when you're going to succeed. All right. And don't measure yourself by others. Don't cheat yourself by measuring yourself by others. It's not fair to yourself. Just continue moving forward. So with that being said, I'm with Thanksgiving being tomorrow, I'm incredibly grateful to be able to share with you guys, and share my experiences and stuff. And I'm incredibly grateful to have Rich and Mike in my life and to be able to call these guys friends. That's another incredible blessing that's come out of this, and Matt and Jason as well. So I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I wish you great success in your business. It's in your hands. It's absolutely in your hands. And those of you that come to the live event, please come and say hello. I'd love to meet you and love to hear your story. All right.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
John, I just want to say one thing, and that's we kind of overuse the word legend when we talk about ASM legends.
Oh, stop that.
You really are a legend, my friend. And I've never seen this kind of response to any call we've ever done before. I asked them to give you a shout out. There's literally tons of comments coming in, and you've got a lot of hugs coming your way in Orlando.
I'm looking forward to it.
All righty. Thank you, John Gill. We'll see you really soon. That was awesome. So if you came in late to this call here, anyone, keep in mind that we are recording this. This will be up inside of the community dashboard tomorrow morning, so you can watch the full Q&A we just did with John. But before we do anything else, we do want to try to get to, I know we're already well over the hour on this call. We want to try to get some of to the questions and answers. I know that the Swedish chef, Elaine and Joanne, have been answering as many as possible in the background, but we're also going to try to answer a few live on here as well. So Rich, I have a few here that I can start going over, and then do you want to start come in after I'm done and answer some?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so these are from the community that we saw here. So again, I'm not going to say the names because I can't, they're just usernames and it doesn't really make sense. Someone asked, isn't it spreading oneself too wide trying to create all of these assets like lead page, a website, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc., without making sure that the product will work? A lot of investment in time and money with not enough certainty. I'm a big proponent of lean, and this does not seem to be lean. Would it be more beneficial to continue product research for any future products instead, in case the first one fails? This is a great answer. At first, I kind of read this and I was thinking, hey, we tell you to do this in the training. Why don't you want to do it? And then I realized, you know what? It's a great answer. It's a totally authentic, legitimate answer, because, you know, there's been times that I've thought the same thing too. Why am I doing all these other things? Shouldn't I be focused on this one single thing? There's the book Matt Clark talks about, the one thing. Jason talks about it, the one thing, to focus on one thing. So here would be my answer to that. The reason we're having you do these other activities, such as building your Facebook page, your YouTube, your basic website, getting a lead page set up, is because those are one-time time investments, and they're actually pretty simple to do. I know some of them may take others a little longer than others, but once you have those assets, those brand assets set up, you don't got to really worry about them too much. Whether or not you decide to post content and keep them up to date is completely up to you. But once you build them and just have them out there, you've added to the value of your brand. So when people are out there searching on Amazon and they see your product, a lot of people, not all of them, but a lot of people want to make sure you're a legitimate company and brand, and they will Google you. They may look you up on Facebook. They may look to see that you have a website, may look to see that you have a YouTube page. And just by having that out there gives you credibility. And it will help you convert better. It's going to help people who have questions about buying your product understand that you are a real authentic company out there, because every big brand out there has all those brand assets. That's why we tell you and show you a very simple way to create them very easily and very quickly, because it's a one-time investment. So the answer is, I believe that it is beneficial to spend that time to get those things set up. But as far as later on down the road, how much time you put into actually branding yourself and running all kinds of social media content, that will be up to you. Where your sales are, they're going to 90+% are all going to come from Amazon, based on Amazon. So I wouldn't worry right now about doing a whole social media program, but you just want to have them out there to gives you social proof. That's why we suggest doing it. Let's see. What type of ads do you use to show up on the first page of Amazon? Well, there's two types. First, and we'll learn about these all in upcoming lessons, would be sponsored product ads. These are the simplest ads you can possibly do. It's as easy as going in and clicking a button to turn these on. Those will get you, based upon your bid that you're bidding and the keywords you're bidding on, those will get you on the first page for Amazon ads. Also, another one that'll come down the road are called headline search ads. You have to be brand registered. And in module 7, we're going to talk a lot about brand registry and the benefits of it and what it takes to get it completed. But just keep in mind that that's another asset, another tool you'll have to use later on down the road. Okay, also, let's see, I'm going to keep going. Do you mind telling me what category you have most of your products in? Well, this is like, maybe, I don't know if this is for John or Rich or myself, but there is no one magical category. I'll tell you, I have products and brands now in half a dozen categories, and all of them do really well. So any category you choose can be successful for you. So hope that answers it. Most of the suppliers that I've been contacting require a minimum order quantity of 500 pieces in order to private label and provide custom packaging. Therefore, it's a really big, huge amount of capital that's needed. This is requiring me to reconsider my hot product opportunities. And most of my product opportunities, true costs, are more than $10. So my question to you is, should I go back to square one and find other hot product opportunities with a lower cost? Or should I keep looking for suppliers that can lower the MOQ? Both of these are, are alternative are options for you. There is no right or wrong. Again, I know I say that a lot, but a lot of this is based on what you really want to do. The first thing that I would do is, keep trying to find suppliers. Like, you've already found these hot product opportunities, therefore they're good opportunities. So keep trying to work with suppliers to get a lower MOQ. And you might be able to do that by doing one of two things. One, offer to pay them a little bit more per unit in order to get an MOQ that might be 200 or 100 units. Also, see if they'll work on you on some simpler branding. So maybe you don't put your logo on the product, but you do have a box that has at least your product, your brand name on the product. So try to go for some simpler branding and packaging. And then thirdly, another option that we talked about, I think on two of the other coaching calls, when it comes to packaging, a lot of suppliers outsource that. So their MOQ on the packaging side may be 1,000 or 10,000 units. So you think about this, they're providing the product, but they have to go out to another company and buy packaging. And so they're kind of stuck. Packaging, in general, you have to buy thousands of packages in order to get good pricing. So what you might want to consider doing is, if they'll consider selling you only 200 units of the product, maybe you'll pay for 10,000 units or 5,000 units of the packaging, because the packaging usually is very cheap. So that might be another route. Get you a lower MOQ on the product itself if you're willing to buy more of the packaging, and then that way your supplier will hold on to that excess packaging that you've already paid for, and you can use it on future orders. That's just a conversation you might want to try to have with them. So there's 3 different options there to try to do it. If none of those work, you can't find any suppliers willing to work with you on getting a lower MOQ to get into your budget, then yes, then it's time to go back and look at your product opportunities again to find some that might be available at a lower cost or lower minimum order quantity. We're looking at scissors inside of our product. Are there any special requirements for packaging and shipping scissors, or can they go right inside of the package? I honestly have no idea. I mean, I don't know the requirements for every single product out there. I don't think there's anything specific to do with scissors, but for this, simplest thing to do is to call Seller Central, tell them that you're going to be selling a product with scissors in it, and ask them with the Seller Central rep right on the phone if they'll be able to guide you on what the packaging requirements are. I don't think there's anything. Safest thing though is to contact Seller Support and ask them for any product, not just that one, but any product you have questions on. Let's see. Mike, will we learn how to customize messages on Amazon when a person leaves a review, either good or bad? Or do we usually just sit and answer those during our free time and type them out? I wasn't sure because it seems some seem to say the same stuff over and over again when I look at the review replies. We haven't gotten to this yet. In Module 7, we have an entire lesson called the Raving Customer Fan, how to turn your customers into raving fans of your business. And we talk about how to get your account set up so you can reply to customers leaving reviews, and then what the best way is to reply to them. I have found in general, you don't want to just carbon copy or copy and paste the exact same response to every single customer. When I see that, it drives me crazy. It makes me think there's a robot or a humanoid on the other side, just going out there and replying the same thing. In general, you'll want to have a consistent message reply to negative reviews especially, but you'll want to tweak each one so it sounds like there's a person with a heart answering. But we get more into that into Module 7. Let's see, I'm going to keep going, then I'll turn it over to Rich suddenly. Okay, so there's two questions kind of covered together. One person asked, when I checked for the domain name about my brand name, I found that the domain name is available, and many of the social sites like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, they're available, but Pinterest didn't have my brand name available. Should I go ahead and change my domain name? And then another person asked a similar question. I have my brand name in mind, but the .com domain name is available, but the UK domain name is not available. What should I do? So here's, in general, when it comes to brand names, if you can get the website with the .com available, go ahead and get it. Right there, that is golden. When it comes to any other sites like the social media pages, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is, try to get those as well. But if there's one or two that like someone else has your domain name or your brand name already used, just slightly give it a different variation on the YouTube or the social media sites. You can, I mean, there are dozens of pages on Facebook that have the exact same name. Like there's dozens of yard sale sites for the exact same city. There's dozens of interest sites. Like, you know, if you're a hunter, there's dozens of sites that may actually be called hunter enthusiasts. You don't have to worry about on social media sites having your own unique link on there that only you and you have. It doesn't really matter as much. The domain name trumps everything. Get that. Try to get the brand names on your social media pages. But if one or two, you don't get the exact same one, that's okay. And if you can copy someone else's, as long as it's not trademarked, that's okay as well. Domain name for your brand name is really what rules, and do your trademarks to make sure that the brand name is not trademarked. Rich, I'm going to turn it over to you for some more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with what Mike just said. Check the trademark. If that's available, get the domain name. That's fine. If your social sites aren't there, you can use any modifier you want, like US or USA or whatever you want. You don't have to have the exact name for these social sites. Okay, so I pulled a couple quickly from the live questions. Should we make an extra effort to find the actual manufacturer, not the traders? So for your first product, you're going to find it quite hard to do that. And what this question is talking about is, you know, there's people who are act as go-betweens. And at the end of the day, if you're using a trader and the price is okay and the quality is great, then for your first product especially, it really doesn't matter. Like, that's all you're looking for. You're looking for the price. Once your product's up and selling, or even for second and third products, then you can like try, you know, find the manufacturer. It might be a little bit more important. You might get slightly better, and you will get slightly better pricing. But for your first product, it doesn't matter. Like, don't even let that enter your head. As long as it's good quality and a good price for you, then go with it. So this one, so MB Ventures Inc. 14. You asked this a few times, and I'll quickly answer it for you. And it's about time scale, because obviously this is quite important to people. If I have a product chosen by next week, then get samples, since I've not done this process before, how long does it take usually to get samples? Is the first question on the timeline. And the answer is probably about a week, sometimes maybe a little bit longer, but generally speaking, if you contact your supplier and say, I want this sample, I want it now, it's about a week. They normally express ship them. And going hand in hand with that, am I going to be able to place an order before the Chinese New Year? You've got plenty of time to do that. You know, that's like, where are we? Are we in November? We're in December. You've got like six to 8 weeks before that happens. So if you order your sample next week, which is what you're saying, you should get it back the following week. And if you like that sample and everything else matches, you can place your order, and bingo, you're off and running. So yeah, don't worry about that time scale. I've got a couple from the community. Quick question on the science of autoresponders and building email lists. I don't like the word science. Does the act of autoresponder sending out your scheduled emails to the customer build your email list, or is that list built only if the customer responds to your email? So you build your list by sending people to your landing page. When they add themselves to your list, that's you building your list. What you're doing with your autoresponder is maintaining your list. Because if you have a list and you never contact them, and then say 3 months down the road, you launch a new product and you contact them then, your list will be dead. They will just like, well, not completely, but like most of the people in that list are probably going to ignore your message because they've totally forgotten who you are. So the idea is you build your list by getting people onto your list, kind of self-explanatory, but you send them to your opt-in form to add them to your list. You do that, you can do that from your social pages, from your website, and obviously from inserts. You send them there, they opt in, that's building your list. Using the autoresponder and sending out regular messages with great content, that's how you keep your list active. And both are very important. Question on landing pages. If we have a website, can we create a page on our website and use that in place of lead pages? If no, okay, so the rest is it doesn't matter. Yes, so yes, you can. We teach you the easiest and most effective and fastest way to do everything. And for the most part, probably the cheapest too. If you want to do it a different way, that's fine. If you are comfortable building your own website or have a website and you're comfortable being able to put HTML code on your site, then by all means, use your own way of creating a landing page. What I would say is, to me, lead pages, it's the easiest and most effective way of creating pages, whether you've got your own website or not. And that's why I stress it so much in the training. But yes, like if you want to go and do your own thing, you can, as long as you are 100% confident, you know exactly what you're doing. Because otherwise, if you spend time learning how to do it, you're wasting your time. What we teach you is fast and easy, and it gets you up and running. Can you offer some guidance, please, on price variations? There are a number of products that meet the ASM criteria, particularly the BSR range, but vary on price. Similar products outside the BSR ranges can vary significantly on price. Where products are identical and within the BSR range, should any consideration be given to the price if there are wide variations? So you're going to see a lot of variations in price because someone might suddenly decide they want to do some kind of promotion, so they do a sale price or whatever. You want to keep inside, you want to still make sure those 3 products, in other words, your primary and 2 competing products, their prices are inside the range. I did cover this in stretching the ASM criteria. I posted a link earlier, but it's in the community. And you can stretch the price a little bit, but you're going to see a lot of price variations because of this. However, it's very easy to check if that's a price that's been there forever, or it's something that you've suddenly just done to try and achieve something. They might have even put the price higher, like John said, because they're running out of inventory, so they put the price higher to slow things down a bit. If you go into Jungle Scout, and for whatever product it is, just click on the price itself, and it brings up a graph and shows you the history of that price. So if you see that it's been a steady price that's inside the range, and all of a sudden there's a big drop one day, or a big rise, you can ignore those variations as long as that big drop or rise doesn't stay constant. Do you have any advice on simple patent questions? Would like to find out if patent is restricting my product opportunities? Yeah, like go and watch the last lesson in module 1. It shows you how to search patents. Use Google extensively to search for patents too. We can't give you advice beyond that because we're not patent attorneys. If you find a product that you're desperate to go with and you think it might be patented, then contact a patent attorney. Seriously, it's not that expensive. If you send them a product and say, can you tell me if I'm okay to sell this product? It's a pretty simple process for them to do. They do charge you, obviously, and they're charging you because they went to college for whatever it was to learn how to be a patent attorney. But you can do that. More often than not, if you see a lot of people selling your product, the odds are it's not patented. But do your due diligence. I could never say this. Do your due diligence. Go and watch that training. Go and do some preliminary searches, because if you follow those preliminary searches and search on Google, you'll have a much better idea whether it could be patented. And if it is, or you think it is, then contact a patent attorney. Product selection question. If a product fits the ASM criteria well, oh, this is a great question. This comes up a lot. If it fits the criteria well, about 3 to 6 products in the BSR range, but also has at least like 50, 60 other sellers with almost the same product, is it better to choose something else? Not really, because what we're looking at is inside that BSR range. Once you go through Mike's training on how to launch a product and all the extra advanced training we give you in the next few modules, you are going to be able to compete with anyone inside that BSR range. That's what that BSR range is for. So if you've got, even if you've got 20 products inside that BSR range, it would not scare me off. If you've got 100 that are outside that, in other words, have much higher BSRs, then that doesn't worry me at all. You only need to worry about the products inside the BSR range, because that's who you're going to be competing against. What is the worst case scenario of getting UPC codes from Nationwide? If I order thousands of dollars in inventory and Amazon changes their policy, is all that money guaranteed to be wasted? Absolutely not. Mike's actually put a very, very funny answer to this without me noticing. But no, absolutely not. There is no way we can see that if Amazon decide to suddenly say you have to have a GS1 code, that they're going to retroactively go back and make everyone do it. There is literally, I don't know, 100 million products that have to do that. They're not going to do that. The absolute worst case scenario, and this is us like putting tin foil on our heads, putting tin foil all over the windows, getting as paranoid as we possibly can, is that they're going to ask you to get a GS1 barcode. They're not going to take your product down. They're not going to like flush all your inventory or anything like that. It would be crazy on their part. Or, I mean, like, you just put yourself in their shoes. Like, Amazon can be crazy, but you put yourself in their shoes. Are they going to go back and like take 1 million products down off the shelf? It's not going to happen. I can't guarantee what is or is not going to happen. But I can tell you my next product, which is coming shortly, will have a nationwide UPC barcode. It will not have a GS1. I have never used GS1, used nationwide. That's my personal opinion. We provided the training we did because we have to be, I don't know, what's the word, responsible, I guess, to show you the options and show you what Amazon are saying. But me personally, I'm not going to change until I actually see a physical change by Amazon into requiring GS1 barcodes. Okay, Mike, do you want to take over? That's all the questions I've got right now.
Yeah, I only got a couple more to go through, and I can't believe you didn't read my suggested answer to the barcode question. We got a couple here. One, is there any way to access live streaming or recordings of SellerCon if you cannot make it to the live event? I don't want to miss out on the latest strategies, but I'm unable to attend. Okay, so first off, we want you to try to be there live because it's not just the training, it's the networking, it's the meeting people physically. So try to do that if you can. However, if you cannot, at some point in the future, I can just tell you this, there hasn't been an announcement, they will offer some kind of live streaming option in the future. It's probably going to be the same price as going there, just so you know. So don't try to hold off and I think it's going to be cheaper. It won't be. But yeah, they will make sure that there's some way to get live streaming for it. And you'll still get all the strategies out of there. So yes, that is forthcoming. Mike, could you please talk about profit margin a little bit? In module 1 and 2, you mentioned a minimum of 25% net profit margin, but is that with or without advertising? Yeah, and you suggest 10% on advertising. My net profit margin is around 32 to 34% before advertising. So my 25% minimum doesn't even take into account advertising. So the way I look at it is this. I want to try to get at least 25% margin on my products before I take into account advertising, knowing that me as a person, I try to budget about 10% or less on advertising. So yes, theoretically, if you go for the lowest, what I recommend of 25%, and you end up spending 10% of that on advertising, your profit margin is only 15%. That's all true, taking the minimum on profit and the maximum on advertising. However, this is all for your very first product. We want to make sure that you can actually make money. Even if you're spending 10% on advertising, you're still making money. It may only be 15%, but that's like the minimum you should be making. And the good thing about the advertising, you control that. So if you are hitting that 10% or higher you're spending on advertising, you can throttle that down and increase your profit margins. So yes, my 25% minimum doesn't take into account advertising because you control how much you spend on advertising. And then the last question that I have is kind of an interesting one. What do you guys do about adding your suppliers on Facebook after they know your name and have sent your request? I don't want to upset them by not accepting it. I am the worst person on earth to talk about this because right now I have about 400 friend requests on Facebook because of every time we go through these launches, I get a bunch. And if you're one of them, I apologize. I simply cannot keep up with all of them. Here's what I mean, I ended up after a few years accepting my supplier's friend request because initially up front, it was more of a business thing and I wasn't quite ready. Facebook, your personal Facebook page is still a social thing. So I try to keep the two separate from business. So don't feel bad not accepting it. You can kind of let it, you don't have to decline, just let it sit there for a while. And then if they ever ask you, if you don't want to do this, if they ever ask you, just say that you use that primarily for personal family over here or friends over here. And that way, you know, it's a way, I don't think they'll be too offended by it because it's not really a big thing over in China, for example. And then later on, you can just make the decision if you want to go ahead and finally accept them. Like I said, I did finally after a couple of years because I became really good friends with my supplier. So one, don't feel bad about ignoring it for a while. Otherwise, I'd be feeling really, really bad right now. And two, you can always get to it later on if you want to, and just let them know that Facebook is more of a social, personal thing, and you just don't feel comfortable doing that right now. That's all that I had on the questions, but we are not quite done with the call. I appreciate everyone. Rich and I both appreciate everyone hanging on still. They have so many people still on the call. I know we went long with John, but he's just such an amazing, captivating, compelling person who speaks from the heart. We didn't want to cut that short. Then we definitely want to get to your questions too. But we have two more things we want to do. First thing is community helpers. Rich Henderson had one thing and one thing only to do, and let's see if he's done it. But he's on mute, so we don't really know.
Community what? I actually just want to answer one question really, really quickly because it's really important. Is it okay? So Shivani Flower asked this. Is it okay to use a barcode provider which provides a certificate of guarantee that the barcode issued is totally unique? No. Only use the two companies we recommend in the training. Okay, that's Nationwide. And if you don't like the prices on Nationwide or whatever, use Barcodes Talk. They are the only two that we know for sure are not having any issues. So the prices, they're cheap as chips. Well, that's an English saying. You're probably not going to understand that. But the prices are not, they're low. Like, just please, when it comes to UPC codes, use the two people we recommend, the two companies we recommend. We get nothing out of it. They're just companies we know have not had any issues whatsoever with their UPC codes. And community helper, again, this is like, it goes on and on every week. Crazy amounts of people getting recommended by the mentors. I occasionally think they throw in a couple of really, really difficult names to pronounce just to catch me out. But honestly, you guys are doing a fantastic job of supporting each other. So I'm going to quickly go through the runners-up. You're all going to get a community helper badge. And obviously, now that you've got that badge, you're more likely to win the mentor call next week or the week after, or whenever it is. But let's have a go at this. So AD Smith 7777, thank you so much for helping out. You've been awesome. Spectre Anatoly, again, like, awesome job. Fadi Habib, fantastic stuff. We love what you guys are doing. Lou 111378. We're gonna have to change this whole email thing being their usernames, Mike. And lastly, Safar El Azraoui. You can message me in Facebook in community and tell me whether I totally messed that up. But this week's winner was a standout. Like, I think she posted more comments and replies than I did, which is, considering that's what I meant to do, is pretty impressive. But she won by a country mile. So Victoria to Music. I should have taken the time to actually find your name, but Victoria, you won the free mentor call, 30-minute call with one of our mentors. All you need to do is private message me. I'll explain what you need to do and, you know, when you can take the call and what it involves. But thank you all so much. You guys are absolutely rocking it. We didn't think, we had an amazing group with our ASM7 people, and we didn't think we were going to get close to that. They were just outstanding, but you guys are. You're their equal and actually, if you keep going like this, you're going to supersede them. So keep doing this. Keep helping other people. Even if it's just a case of popping in there and saying, you know, encouraging someone who's having problems or whatever. Get in there and, you know, encourage people. And don't be shy about answering a question. If you see a question you know an answer to, maybe you've asked it before and someone, one of the mentors answered for you. Jump in there and answer the questions. You will get so much out of doing that, knowing that you're helping other people, and not just going in there to look for your own questions. But that's it, Mike. I'll leave it to you to close out, buddy.
All right. So thanks, Rich. Again, thanks so much to the mentors in the background also. Elaine, Joanne, the Swedish chef, Steve. You guys are awesome. You guys are answering questions before we even get a chance to get to them. I really appreciate it. Those guys put in so much time, and they're all over the world. So they're up at odd hours and doing this for us. Really appreciate that. Thank you to the members. Like Rich said, you guys are awesome. We couldn't do this without you. Thanks to John Gill, even though he's off. Thanks to Caleb in the background. And just want to remind you two things. One, we're back to the normal schedule for coaching calls next week. It'll be Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Time, as usual. And then two, I know we had several other cool announcements on this call about the Black Friday boot camp, about the free Vegas recordings, about Rich talked about getting added to the Facebook group coming up. But most importantly and time sensitive is the $500 inventory reimbursement contest that ends this Friday at midnight. So absolutely, if you don't do anything else in the course this week, make sure you get your opportunity finder badge by midnight Friday and submit for that badge so that you can get a chance to win. Two people can get a chance to win $500 back towards their inventory. That's it from all of us here at Amazing Selling Machine and Amazing. Thanks so much. If you are celebrating Thanksgiving, please travel safe, enjoy it. And you guys are one of the things that we give thanks for. Thanks so much for being there. And then we will see you all next week on the coaching call, and module 5 opens up this Friday at 9 a.m. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you soon.